Zummy, do they really eat gummy bears?
Oh, no, of course not, Cubby. That's just the story.
By the way, this outfit did not turn out like I intended, but here we are, and I'm just gonna keep going. Adventures of the Gummi Bears first debuted in 1985 on NBC, and between NBC, ABC, and Disney Channel, it ended up running for 6 seasons until 1991. And then the reruns aired on Disney Channel for about 10 years, and the series is currently available on Disney+. I love to revisit these old shows and cartoons and movies that exist on almost a primal level in my subconscious. This cartoon was a Michael Eisner creation, and the story goes that his kids asked for the Gummi Bears candy, and Eisner decided that would be an interesting TV show and challenged his animators to come up with something. Which is exactly the kind of power trip I would go on if I were a boss. My microphone is in the way.
Dashing and daring, courageous and caring.
The theme song was performed by Joseph Williams, who was the lead vocalist for the band Toto for a time, and he also wrote the lyrics for 2 songs in Return of the Jedi. And that is because his father was John Williams. The John Williams. And the theme song is amazing. It goes way harder than it has any right to.
Gummi bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummi bears.
Sometimes I'll just be like paying my mortgage or cooking quinoa. The 2 most grown-up things I can think of right now. And the Gummi Bears theme song will just burst into my brain like the Kool-Aid Man through a wall.
Gummi bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummi bears.
Oh, yeah.
The plot of the show was surprisingly multifaceted. You have the main story about a young boy named Kevin who lives in a medieval-esque kingdom who discovers a small band of gummi bears, which were mystical creatures that people believed were either fictional or extinct. They go on adventures, hence the title. They try to stop the evil Duke Igthorn and his ogre slaves from taking over the kingdom. But here's the thing. The Gummi Bears come from a rich and magical history. Their ancestors, the Great Gummies, had mastered both magic and advanced technology. But those secrets have since been lost. With the help of Kevin, the Gummi Bears begin to rediscover those secrets and solve the mystery of what happened to the other gummies. It's like the Lost City of Atlantis with magic and cute cartoon bears. And as a child, I was heavily invested in all 3 of those concepts. There were 6 main gummi bears covering all of the bear archetypes. Grammy Gummy, the maternal one, Tummy Gummy, the one that likes food, Cubby Gummy, the young boy who wants to be a knight, Sunny Gummy, the preteen girl who wants to be a grown-up, Gruffy Gummy, the grumpy handyman of the group who wants to do things the gummy way, and Zummy Gummy, the old scholar and wizard of the group. That is all the kinds of bears you could possibly have. No other bears. This show has regular status quo shifts, which I think is really interesting. Like they introduce new, regular, and recurring characters throughout the series, including a new gummy bear named Gusto.
Poor Gusto. He's sure been quiet since he lost his life's work.
More human characters like Princess Kala learn about the existence of the gummy bears, and these changes stick. Like, sure, there are a lot of episodic storylines, but there's not a 100% back to baseline reset at the end of each episode. I think that's pretty ambitious for a children's show from the 80s and 90s. It definitely gives kids a lot of credit, And that's something that I certainly appreciated. So we're just gonna revisit the first episode of Adventures of the Gummi Bears, and it's just going to be nice. It's just gonna be a nice time. And then afterwards, we'll discuss several aspects of the Gummi Bears fandom, and it's mostly fine and normal. Okay, Adventures of the Gummi Bears, Episode 1. A new beginning. Now, normally these 23-minute episodes are comprised of 2 separate stories, but not the first episode. The whole 23 minutes of the first episode is just one storyline. The show opens with introducing us to the main recurring villain, Duke Igthorn. He commands an army of ogres and has built a catapult as an attempt to take down King Gregor's castle and claim the throne. Duke Sigmund Igthorn is the inspiration for today's outfit, although it didn't turn out entirely like I intended, but we persevere. And I realized something when I was looking up fan art of this character, which does exist. What color is his outfit? Is it blue or is it purple? I see people using both. I see both blue and purple. So, I don't know. I guess it also depends on where you're watching the show and what the color grading is of your TV or monitor. So you tell me in the comments below, what color is Duke Igthorn wearing? Is it blue or is it purple? What color is this scarf? Is this blue or is this purple? Anyway, then we meet Kevin, the young human protagonist of the series. He is a page, and him and this kind of like douchey other page are traveling through the woods. And they use the word yokel unironically.
I could be practicing my sword fighting instead of carrying lunch to a bunch of yokel woodcutters, Kevin.
But we learn that Kevin has a gummy medallion that he got from his grandfather. We also learn that there is a split opinion in human society on whether gummy bears were once real but are now extinct, or whether they are just a fairy tale.
There aren't any gummy bears now, but they used to exist. Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows they're just fairy tales.
So many of the human characters are jerks. Then ogres overrun the yokel woodcutter camp, and Kevin bravely tries to fight them off, while the others just leave Kevin to die.
Don't worry, lad. I'll be back, I think.
As Kevin flees for his life, he seems to have some secret helpers in the woods. And then Kevin trips and rolls down a hill just head first. He rolls right over some rocks. Like, it's amazing he didn't crack his skull open. Just end the series right here and get some Disney animator fired. Then we get a location change to King Gregor's castle, where we meet Princess Calla and her father the king, who's got a weirdly deep neckline on his royal clothes.
What have I said to you about jumping into that haystack?
A princess has to set an example for her people.
For some reason, the issue is that she's setting a bad example for her people, and not that the sole heir to the throne, daughter of this clearly aged king, might miss the haystack and die. Serious head injuries are of no concern in this kingdom. They learn that Kevin is missing, and we learn that Calla and Kevin are friends. It's depicted to me like they have kind of a thing, like maybe she has a crush on him, but I believe they're supposed to be 11 and 12, so...
Is Kevin a friend of yours, Calla?
Oh, he seems nice enough for a page.
Kevin is unconscious and very likely should have a concussion after his fall. Hey, what if this series ended and we find out that like the entirety of the 6 seasons are just some sort of coma dream and Kevin was actually just unconscious the whole time? But now we get our first clear shot of the Gummi Bears. I really like the design of all of the bears. I think they're each very distinctive with different colors and different outfits. I also really like that Cubby Gummy, who's a boy, is pink. I have just a whole rant about how dumb and arbitrary it is that pink was considered a girl color, which wasn't a thing until like very recent history. It used to be that pink was the boy color and blue was the girl color. The gummies see the medallion that Kevin is wearing and they realize that it's important. But while they're bickering with each other, Kevin wakes up.
Wow! Gummy bears! Wait, I won't hurt you!
Kevin is aggressively excited. He promises that he won't hurt them as he relentlessly chases them down. Now we see our first usage of gummy berry juice. I haven't mentioned it yet, but it is in the theme song and it is a key tenet of the series.
Along with the secret of gummy berry juice.
Gummy berry juice ASMR. Gummy bears have been brewing this magic juice throughout the entirety of their written history, and it gives them the ability to bounce. The gummies burst into the clearing being pursued by ogres, and they open up some secret tunnels. And Kevin ends up in their secret little underground cave home, and I think it is super cozy. I would love to live there, except for the fact that there's no southern exposure or sunlight in general. The gummies interrogate Kevin, and he reveals that his grandfather found the medallion in an abandoned city, and it doesn't come back this episode, but I believe it does come back later in the series. Kevin is thirsty, and Tummy foolishly gives him some gummy berry juice to drink, and we discover that the juice has a different effect on humans than it does on gummies, and it gives Kevin super strength.
Don't be scared of me. I wouldn't hurt you. You're my heroes. Don't you understand that?
After that, they realize that they can trust Kevin, presumably because he didn't use his super strength to rip them limb from limb and eat them. Zummy has Kevin swear himself to secrecy on the great book of Gummy, which has been locked for centuries. They show Kevin the quick tunnels built by the ancient gummies. How was there not a ride at Disney for this? While zipping around the forest, they spot Igthorn's catapult, and Kevin begs the gummies for help to save King Gregor's castle, and he is very disappointed when they say no.
We have no magic, no weapons. We aren't really fighters. Well, what can we do?
Kevin heard all the stories about the great gummies and how they helped save people, but Zummy makes the excellent point that there are only 6 of them, and they have no magic or weapons.
You're nothing but a bunch of silly, selfish old bears.
Kevin, how can 6 bears that are only 2 feet tall defeat a bunch of ogres? They're not grizzlies. They'll get eaten. Before he storms out, Kevin throws the gummy medallion on the ground. And it turns out that the medallion was the secret key to unlocking the medallion-shaped lock on the ancient book of Gummy. Who could have guessed? The book reminds them of the gummies' purpose.
Help the good fight the wicked. Strive to make gummies great once more.
I don't know how I feel about that tagline. Meanwhile, things aren't going so well for Kevin. But even Gruffy is on board to help now.
I thought you didn't like humans. Don't you tell me who I like and who I don't like.
Zummy found some spells in the book, so they turn Gruffy invisible so he can try to sneak some gummy berry juice to Kevin, so Kevin can bust free of his chains and inflict violence on the ogres. It sort of works, but the invisibility wears off too quick. And Kevin, the village idiot, just calls out, drawing attention to him.
Gruffy, you came! You came to help me after all!
But fortunately, they're all able to escape, but Igthorn is beginning his attack on King Gregor's castle. The gummy bears drink their juice and fight the ogres, trying to create a distraction so Kevin can also drink gummy berry juice and get to the catapult and rip it apart with his bare hands. But Igthorn wants the magic potion for himself. I want to point out that they later retcon some of the juice's potency in humans, later saying that it will only work once per day. But here, we have clearly seen it work twice, and nobody seems to doubt its capability to work a third time. I demand internal consistency in my children's cartoons from 30 years ago. Unfortunately, Igthorn drinks the gummy berry juice and just begins chucking rocks at King Gregor's castle. He's thrilled.
I'm all the catapult I need.
I'm all the catapult I need is now my personal motivational phrase. But Igthorn doesn't realize that the gummy berry juice will eventually wear off, and when it does, Kevin and the Gummi Bears are able to crash the catapult and save the kingdom. You know, save the kingdom for now, because Igthorn is still a duke with an army of ogres and the financial and technical resources to build a catapult. They should have killed him when they had the chance. At first, the people praise Kevin for destroying the catapult, but then Kevin seemingly doesn't want to reveal the existence of the Gummi Bears, but he also doesn't want to take full credit for this thing that he definitely did do. So he tells them that he really had nothing to do with crashing the catapult, he had just jumped on it to escape.
I had nothing to do with it. I was a prisoner, and when I saw the catapult rolling away, I jumped aboard to escape.
Good boy.
The episode ends with the Gummi Bears, for the first time in generations, recording their deeds in the great book of Gummi. And that's the Gummi Bears. Let me tell you, child Christina loved drinking juice and calling it gummy berry juice and then jumping around on all of the furniture. And my parents would get very upset with me. And at the time, I assumed it was because I was destroying the furniture. But now, in hindsight, I understand that they were mad about my careless disregard of gummy canon. I should have been pretending to have super strength rather than bouncing. I will say that rewatching this entire series as an adult would probably be a little bit tedious because it definitely is for fairly young children, but it is fun to revisit in bits and pieces. I was curious if they ever had costumed gummy bear characters at any of the Disney parks, and if so, when? There are a lot of photos online, but not really a lot of details. After some digging, I did find two places, one video and one blog, that showed that they did have the characters in 1990. The blog, called Sam's Disney Diary, shows the characters at the 1990 Easter Parade at Disney World. And the video specifies that it's at Disneyland, so it sounds like they did have the characters at some point in the early 90s at both parks, but I can't find any indication of how long they might have had the characters walking around. There's some gummy bear cosplay floating around, including this photo of a group of people who look like they're only doing this because someone is holding a gun to their heads off camera. And of course, you can find some beautiful fan art out there. I realize as I'm saying that, it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, like I'm saying beautiful fan art and I'm gonna show you like a child's crayon drawing. But no, there's some really good stuff from some talented people. There's also one more fan element to discuss. And I hate to be the one to tell you about this, but if I know, then you also have to know. We will share the burden of this knowledge together. There is a surprising amount of Gummi Bears fan fiction on Archive of Our Own. I know 79 stories isn't a ton, but it does feel like a lot for a children's cartoon about magic bears from 1985. And this is a modern fanfiction website. This isn't like fanfiction.net or an old GeoCities page. There are multiple stories from 2024. Some of it is very, adult, and I'm worried. There's this one real tender story about Gruffy comforting Tummy about his self-harm scars. It's rated teen, and it's very romantic. I think that's what seems weird to me. Like, this doesn't feel like satire or a parody. It's very sincere. And some of it is not in English. So this is clearly a global phenomenon. But, like, look at the tags on this one. Horror, aging, child's death, and cannibalism. You better believe I opened those stories in an incognito browser. I wonder if the FBI agent who monitors my internet activity is as worried about me as I am about some of these fanfic writers. That'd be nice. By the way, none of these stories, none of them are R-rated Bridgerton parodies of The Duke and I about seducing Duke Igthorn. I would joke that I wanted to do a sexy Duke Igthorn costume, but come on.
Oh no!
Daddy indeed. Speaking of changing the subject, I found this online auction for what claims to be an original concept design for the Gummi Bears. I have no other context for you. I could not find any additional information. Just this, so take it with a grain of salt. Or I guess some creative early on just thought about the concept and was like, ah yes, the 6 archetypes of bear. Girly bear, flirtatious bear, giggles bear, miniskirt bear, bedroom-eyes bear, and Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory. Some people at Disney have not forgotten about the Gummi Bears. This Disney doodle from the Walt Disney Resort Stories blog in 2019 shows the bears helping decorate for Christmas. Disney's 2021 collaboration with Dooney and Burke offered an afternoon Disney collection that featured the Gummi Bears and some other familiar faces. I'm really sad that I learned about this long after the collection has been sold out. Like, this is probably the one time in my life that I've been tempted by a designer bag. And there are a few on eBay, but like they're real expensive. And I am resisting it for now. They also released Gummi Bears Funko Pops in 2020 with their soulless black eyes. It's like staring into the void. An empty, bottomless abyss where my childhood went to die. Alone. Forgotten. As you can see, the Gummi Bears pop up here and there, but definitely not everywhere. This is gonna sound like a slightly weird statement, but I feel like Gummi Bears is Thundercats for a slightly younger age group. Like at about 4 or 5, you watch Gummi Bears, and then you kind of age up into Thundercats. Like, they have some very similar elements. It makes sense.